she comes.
Hi, sweet girl.
Our co-star,
Good girl.
Does she have a middle name?
No.
Piplind.
Piplind. Hi.
Oh, I think she likes it.
Yeah. Here's your mic.
Come on, let's hear it. What was your year like, Pip?
Want to tell us what 2024 was like, dear?
2024.
Yeah.
It was wild.
The year.
I want to hear all about it.
If you're listening and not watching the video yet, Pippi is sitting on the pink couch with me.
She's here. She's part of this podcast today.
She's like, listen, guys, I got some frequency to share.
Oh my gosh, I love her right now. She feels really soft. Oh, there she goes with her Empress.
Yeah,
okay,
she loves
She
the
has
spotlight.
claimed her space.
She loves the spotlight. She loves the lights, cameras. I think she...
Are you a Leo? Like your mama?
My little mirror.
Hello, sweet girl.
She's vibing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Pippi's joining us for today's podcast.
Welcome to the show, Pip. She is the third spiritual girl.
She is.
This room.
In this material world. She is hanging. She loves the energy.
She's
always been like this. I used to have all of my spiritual notes out from my teachers and an altar. And she would come and sit on it and like sit on my notes, sit at the altar, like sit next to me while I was meditating, praying, doing my spiritual work. And that was in like 2011. So
Keiko's like that with me too. And when I used to do sessions from my house, she would lay next to people. And she was like the best sidekick because she would lay next to wherever they were having issues in their body. And I would know what role to play in accordance to where she was laying on them.
Brilliant.
She's so good. Cats are so smart.
Yep.
They're spiritual. They say like dogs are our guides in this realm and cats are our guides in the spirit realm.
I love it.
Yeah.
I have always heard dogs connect us to the present moment. Mm-hmm. They bring us like really into this now moment, whereas cats are constantly moving in between the realms and working on the other planes to support us.
Yeah.
And I see that with Pippi too. Like when I have a long session, she'll sometimes be nearby. She'll sometimes be in the room with me. When I used to run virtual retreats too, she'd be like sitting right behind me. They love the energy. It's so fun.
They're part of it.
So she's digging the vibes.
All right. I love this.
She's just going to sit next to me this whole episode.
This is literally so cute.
Okay.
Right.
Welcome back to Spiritual Girl in a Material World.
Welcome back.
This is our last recording of 2024, last recording day.
Whoa. Okay, here's a question for you. Are you feeling, at the end of 2024, are you feeling more spiritual or more material at this point? Because we're in a really interesting time of the year where things are typically very material given the holidays. And, you know, we find ourselves kind of swaying between spiritual. Whoa, weird.
Oh my gosh,
my
your
earring just fell out. That's auspicious.
That's so cool.
Whoa, okay. Talking about material. I'll put that back in. Where we find ourselves in this material, but we bounce back and forth between feeling more material sometimes versus more spiritual at times. So where are you right now? Just in this very moment today.
Way more spiritual than focus on the material right now. Like way more. Christmas is in about a week.
I haven't done so much shopping. This is bad.
I know. I went and got my nails done this morning. They're like, "Are you ready for Christmas?" I was like, "Nope."
I didn't even know what day it was.
I know. So I'm not very connected to the Christmas energy right now, which is okay. And I have gone through waves and fluctuations too. Sometimes I get really excited for Christmas and I want to connect to it. Like I remember in 2021, right after my big event in November, Michael and I were just newly back together and I was so excited for Christmas and Christmas with him. And I put up the tree. I made him put up the tree with me on like right after we got home from the event. So it was like November 15th. And I was like, tree up, vibes amped, let's go. And that was after coming off a really long stint of like being way more, you know, on the spiritual side of things. And it was like so exciting to connect to Christmas with him and that energy. So I definitely think it depends on, emotions and the emotional state too.
Yeah.
Like what's going on
in your season of life you're
in your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at. What about you?
It's really interesting. I'm like, whoa, deep in the spiritual.
Oh my gosh. You are coming off a huge week.
Maybe the biggest week of the year for me, honestly.
Chills.
I don't know. I've had some epic weeks this year.
You really have.
This year has been unbelievable. And really, actually, that's what we're going to talk about today is like this recap of 2024.
Yeah.
And kind of generally speaking, because right before we started recording, it was like, I don't know if I could possibly put words to describe this year, but generally speaking, I think I can say this for the collective is that 2024 turned out to be something none of us could have imagined or predicted. My life, even 6 months ago, was a totally different timeline.
Oh my
totally,
God.
completely.
It so was.
Massive different timeline altogether. So this year has felt like 15 years in one. This year was the ending of a 16-year cycle.
Yep.
This year was a death and rebirth, quite literally. So much happened this year. But everybody I've talked to has had a year like that. Like you've had death and rebirth. Yeah. You've gone through journeys. Like this has been a crazy year.
I heard somebody say on TikTok the other day that she was talking about how 2025 is going to be a completion year. And I was like, that doesn't resonate with me. 2024 either. Felt like a humongo completion year.
It was.
Thank you. Thank you for that validation.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's more the vibe right now. And I feel like those that are, and tell us like what you guys are feeling right now. Seriously, like DM us on Instagram or email us at spiritualgirlpod@gmail.com and tell us where you're at. But I feel like maybe if you're aligning with this energy, you're aligning with us, you might be also in that same vein of like, okay, 2024 was a year where we let go of so much. And they're excited for 2025.
Yeah, relationships ended in so many different ways, like romantic relationships, business relationships. Several people that I know have lost family members. Friendships have gone away. This was just a major clearing year.
Yep.
And I knew that this was a completion. This was like a 9 year for me. So 9 is the number of completion. This was a 9 year for me. And
that's what it was. Somebody was saying 2025 as a 9 year.
No, man.
Because it adds up to 9. Keep going.
I get that, but no. If 2025 is a 9 year, what was this then? You know what I mean?
Seriously.
Everything ended.
Yeah. Keep going. Yeah.
But not just for me, like it really truly was a collective that everybody that I talked to has had these massive life-changing events that was not in the quote unquote plan for the year, you know?
Yep.
So, what a year. I sat in a lot of ceremony this year. There's been a lot of elevation this year. There's also been a lot of space and a lot of silence, which I think is really necessary for completion years or like the death years, you know, of like you have to go into that void of silence and not knowing what's coming next. And then you get to the point of surrender and release and like, okay, I've literally feel like I've been like resurfaced, like everything crashed to the ground, resurfaced. And it's like, okay, now what's next? And I have no idea. And I'm really actually fine with that. But everybody's right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
You've been doing a lot of reimagining and...
Oh, I've been in such a surrendered, like, I have no idea what's coming next place. Yeah. Like, and that's actually become a standard answer. Oh, and then your creative director the other day said something really cool to me on set. She was like, okay, well, when are we shooting for you? And I said... I love you. I'll keep you posted. And I said, I've really just been in this space of letting go and nothingness right now. And she said, oh, the unbecoming. You had to unbecome everything you were. I was like, yeah. And this has been really powerful and it's resonated with me. It stayed with me. And I was like, this is so powerful because when you let everything go, which is what I've done over the past few years, you really see like very intentionally what you want to pick back up.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, yes. And we've been having a lot of these discussions lately, like, oh, that super aligns. Yes, I am going to take that. Or I'm not sure what to do with that one yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to pick that one back up yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then of course, as everybody knows, this podcast is, you know, merged from that space as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, the unbecoming of 2024.
totally. I know so many of you are there too and are just desperately wanting to figure it out. There's like two veins. It's like, oh, I like really want to figure it out. I really want to figure it out. And then there's like the place where you're just like, life will tell me. My soul will tell me. Mm-hmm. So if you're in either of those places too, neither is wrong. Definitely understand both of those too.
Yeah.
And I think both are beautiful.
I know that feeling more than ever now. Literally coming out of ceremony just days ago, I'm still integrating, but I am telling you, I'm not worried about a single thing.
It's so true. The level of serenity I feel from you is next level, beyond. Pippi's looking at you right now, like affirming it. She's like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The slow blink. Yeah. I truly, I'm in so much peace.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I don't need to know. But what I do know is that it's all going to work out.
Well, absolutely. Wait, was this year the year you became the frequency of peace? Was that this year?
That was in April. I know.
That feels like 5 years ago.
I know. We should do a whole episode about our medicine ceremonies and journeys and like what has come out of those, because there's so many beautiful lessons. And oh my gosh, I've had so many people DM me about asking questions about medicine and ceremony and journeys and all the things. So that'll come in another episode. But yeah, in April, I sat with Aya 2 days after my birthday for 2 days. And that was when my body became the frequency of peace. Oh my gosh, it's the most beautiful experience ever to be in that frequency. I feel like people don't fully understand it.
Yeah.
I had to die first, though.
Yes.
I died in my Aya ceremony before that. And that was when I was shown and told by God, I guess, the creator of all, the creator, right? That you can rest now in peace. And then it made more sense because the next ceremony I was shown and told I was going to be resurrected in peace. Not as God, but peace. Like
brought to a new place within you.
Yeah. Yes. Come back alive within myself, literally as the frequency of peace.
It's been so cool to watch you start to embody this in like such a powerful way.
It's so good. It's so good. With that too, I just have to say this because it's like mind blowing to me still right now. I use the Hawkins consciousness map a lot in teaching people about frequency and sound. And the frequency of peace is like one of the highest frequencies. And if you look across the map, the consciousness map, the word that is attached to that is illumination. And that was my word of this year. Like, how crazy is that?
It's perfect.
It is perfect. And these are the things, like, you can't make this stuff up. You couldn't predict this. That wasn't in my 2024 plan at all.
No.
And it's working out exactly how it needs to be. I just trust so deeply. Yeah. I trust so deeply.
The dots always connect looking backward. I was on a call doing an energy read yesterday for a gal, and we were talking about this, you know, these experiences that she's had, even not just this year, but like 10 years ago, that were perfectly preparing her for what she is wanting to step into now, and didn't even realize it until we were talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what we've talked about before, the golden thread of your soul, right, weaving this beautiful journey for you here on this earth. And the more connected you can be to God, to the highest throughout that, the more you'll remember the unknown parts are just unknown to our human minds. Your soul and God know what's going on. They have a plan.
Absolutely.
You know? And it's already aligned and it's already set up. And that's, I think, what you're so tapped into right this moment, where you're saying, like, I am not worried at all.
Not a single shred of doubt.
Because you know the plan is in place and it's going to work out for your highest and greatest good.
Yeah.
And that's something I think across the board too. It's important to like really address, because if you're on a spiritual path, you have set things up for yourself for only your highest and greatest good. And I think I've gotten questions about this, and I've had moments of this on my journey too, but I think it's easy to dip into the human fears and the human worries about that, you know, and thinking, oh my gosh, like, did I actually have my own back? Did I set this up for myself, you know, and does God have my back? Like, am I favored? Am I in alignment here?
Yeah. The questioning.
Yeah, it's
You
huge.
forget. I think that's what happens is you forget. And we just have to be constantly reminding ourselves, like, you're not a broken record, right? Like, I think that's where people kind of feel, I don't know, discouraged on the journey. On the journey, it's like, I thought I figured this out, and it's like, oh no, you just forgot again. Like, how many times do we have to? Well, at least for me, I have to remind my son, who's 11, to brush his teeth every day. This is 11 years into it. Like, you should know this by now, right? Like, but I have to remind him. We need to be reminded all the time of what we're here to do, and that we can trust, and that we can let go, and that everything is working out. We have to just be reminded all the time, which I think is part of why we're doing this podcast, is to be a little reminder sometimes. Even listening back to some of these episodes, I'm like, oh yeah, right. That's what we're doing. That's why we're here. Yep. So we're not outside of that group of people who need to remember. We need to be reminded all the time too.
Yeah.
So what did you remember in 2024? What was maybe one of the bigger rememberings for you?
After Journey in June, big remembrance around my relationship, our relationship, that we chose each other. Yeah. We chose to come here together, promised to find each other, and that this was destined and the plan all along. And neither of us are going anywhere, because this has been the plan since before we decided to come here. Yep. And that also reminded me, you know, that we signed up to help each other heal things too. Yep. And it can be so easy sometimes in a relationship to, like, when you hit up against something that you're healing or working on, to like start to question the relationship. And I think for not just in relationships though, you know, like when we come up to resistance, there is a moment that you have a choice. Do you lean in and do you remember, or do you run the other way? Yeah. Well, and this illusion of Earth is so strong sometimes. Yeah. I mean, a lot of times, most of the time. So strong that when those emotions overtake your physical, they feel so real. Yeah, they are real to your physical body. It's just a temporary experience, and we forget that because it feels so big and real. It takes over your field, right? You're like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. So the remembering of the relationships and yes. And so that was something that I honestly feel and know in my soul that we were supposed to receive after we were already married too, that piece of information. Oh, how beautiful that the bigger lessons come after the commitment. Well, and after I talk about this with what I call the trust loop, you get the nudge, and then the confirmation doesn't come until the other side of the infinity loop. Like, you can't ever have confirmation at the same time you have the nudge to do the thing. Right. You just have to go. Yeah. Dang. And so we obviously like both felt, okay, this is yes, we're guided, we're getting married. And then when we got that confirmation, it was so big that we also understood, like, God put us within the container of the marriage first to figure it out, and then gave us that information later, because it was so big and that it could have, you know, almost like shaken us apart. Yeah. Does that make any sense? Like, it was so big for both of us to grasp that we were like, it needed the safe container. Yes, exactly. So talk about trusting the timing. That was a really big moment. We saw our decision to come to Earth. We saw like a lot of the pieces. Like, it was really intense was really intense to have that
I can
remembrance.
feel that in my whole body right now. Whoa.
Yeah, it was big. And that was in a journey we did together.
What a beautiful remembering.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah.
I can feel it right now too.
Yeah.
So that was one of the big ones for us and for me this year. You know, because, and I was thinking about this the other day too, because somebody DM'd me and they were talking about how much they love wife Natalie. Because I was making bread. And I was like, I know.
I
shout
get to
out
benefit from wife Natalie too.
I
love it.
I was making bread and somebody was like, oh my gosh, I just love wife Natalie. And I said, thank you so much for saying that. Like, it's healing to hear that and receive that, because it has been such a big adjustment for me to shift and change my name, change my frequency. You know, I've talked about this in other episodes, and shift out of that other mentality where it's just me and my work and like all these things, into now being a wife and holding that frequency and holding that responsibility for the house and the husband and my husband and what's coming through him. And like, yeah, it's a responsibility, and it's been really big for me to adjust to that. And like, I've had moments of like, whoa, this is my life now. A lot of moments of that, you know, and it's been perfect and beautiful. And so, you know, that was just another part of that journey this year for me.
Feels like now that we're like unpacking this and like really looking at it from like a 30,000 foot view, because we're at the end and we still have 2 weeks left. So
that's true.
Do not underestimate what can happen in 2 weeks. I swear to you.
So true.
But looking at it at this 30,000 foot view, 2024 was really like this year of alchemy.
It was.
And our friend Tara Hainsworth, she does my hair. She owns Hainsworth & Co. salon. That was her word for her whole entire staff this year. And I went and played and spoke at her retreat for her staff about alchemy. And I brought my alchemy bowls and talked about like how things are basically crushed and reformed into something new.
Yep.
And that is what this feels like. Yep. 2024 was the year of alchemy.
Yeah, it was. It was a huge process for me too. For several months, I was focused on the word too, alchemizing.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Wait. I'm remembering. Yes, I remember that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yes.
And
transformation.
It also means, doesn't the dictionary definition of it mean to turn into gold?
Yes. There is a piece that it is about.
I gotta look it up.
The transmutation, yes, because that's the whole premise, right? Of the chemical compounds being pressurized, and that's how coal is created into diamonds, or is through the alchemy process, is put under fire and pressure to create something new.
Yeah, to convert. This is Google definition on the fly here. Based on the supposed transformation of matter, it was concerned particularly with, I love that it says supposed transformation of matter. Okay. It was concerned particularly with attempts to convert base materials into gold or find a universal elixir.
Oh my God, that is so good.
Oh, here we go. A seemingly magical, I love it again. Google is like the skeptic here. A seemingly magical process of transformation, creation, or combination. Seemingly magical. It's magical. I'm just going to...
Google is gaslighting us right now.
I'm just going to strike through the word seemingly. But like, yeah, okay. And spiritual alchemy. Spiritual alchemy is an ancient practice with the goal of spiritual transformation, not material. Modern day chemistry. It began during the medieval period here, it says again, and sought to transmute base metals such as lead into gold.
I love this so much. I love this so much.
Yeah,
so I think that this is like a really beautiful question to maybe journal on as we are closing out 2024 and like closing these energetic loops and reflecting on what this year has done is what has alchemized in my life. I want to sit with that.
That's such a good question.
Like there's so much has alchemized in my life, and like the process too, like really sit with the process that it took, because as much as we avoid change at times, sometimes we want change to happen much quicker.
Yeah.
But to look at the process and how long things took to alchemize throughout this year, you can start picking up these patterns and you can expect some things, you know, for what's to come and how quickly things happen. But I just love sitting down and thinking about that prompt of what has alchemized in my life in 2024. And I know my list will be very long.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Some of you, if you've known me for a few years, you may remember I used to do the New Year's in silence. I used to do like the last 6 hours maybe, I think, of the year. I think it would start at like 6 p.m. And I've had events too sometimes. Like I did one in person where I just held space silently in Abundant Space here in Scottsdale. People could just come and go and just sit in silence and have reflective time for the end of the year. And then cross over into the new year in silence is the intention. But the intention of that time, and then I did it virtual one year, and then I've done it with partners. I've done this for a long time. I started doing this in like 2017, I think. And the point of that time is to just like stop talking and intentionally go in and reflect on the year as it's ending. And one of the things that I would do is write on several different pieces of paper. At the top of it, it would say like best moments of whatever year. And then another piece of paper would say things I let go of, things that were hard. Like, and then as I was kind of flowing through the process, I was like writing on each piece of paper, you know, the moments that for each category, the moments I was remembering. And then I think I burned them like at the end of the year. Ceremony? Yeah. I did a little burn ceremony at the very end in order to honor it and just release and let go and have that moment too of really alchemizing.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what came to mind when you said that. And I think that, you know, whatever you choose to do for your end of year practice will be perfect, but whatever you can do to spend time also honoring how much you've transformed in a certain area, even if it's just, you guys, like energy shifts can be just awarenesses too, even if you don't have a different action yet, or you haven't seen how to shift this pattern yet. Like awarenesses are wins. So like let yourself, you know, honor yourself. Don't gaslight yourself. Honor yourself for like even the awarenesses that you've had in 2024. Because Pip's back. Yeah, she says because it's been a humongous year. And I mean, like even we were talking about this too before we sat down to record. Just energetically, it's been a big year.
Energetically.
On the planet. Pip agrees. She's on the receiving end of all the light and codes.
Yep.
And when we say that, we mean, here's my definition of that, just so everybody knows. Like with extra light hitting the planet, what I mean is more and more people are becoming conscious. More and more people are waking up. More and more people are spending time in prayer, meditation, in connected spaces, in ceremony, etc. And every time you do that and you open up to bring more light into your channel, or light into an area, you're anchoring it down to the earth. You're bringing more light here onto the planet with your intention and your actions. So that light builds and adds up and people feel it. And there's just a big collective impact of that. I saw a lot and I participated in this, but a lot on the internet around the really big hurricane that was going to hit Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of energy workers went to work trying to help diffuse it. And it ended up being...
It dropped.
It completely... Yeah. Like I'm sorry to all of our Floridian listeners. We're not talking about it in the specific scientific terms, but it dropped into like a tropical storm, right? It didn't even have the frequency of hurricane anymore. And like that is like such a great example too of a lot of collective light hitting the planet and working together to have an impact. And so that light also works on us as humans. It works on government structures. We're going to see a ton of it here in the age of Aquarius. Like it's so chills. Much. Anyway, okay. That's how I see it. That's how I talk about it. So when we say it's been a big year for the planet,
it has.
Every year as consciousness continues to rise on the planet, there's more and more and more light hitting the planet, coming through the awakened beings in service to humanity.
Mic drop.
I love that Pippi climbed on top of my lap for this
She's
discussion.
like, I'm going to ground you now because you're floating away. I love it. It has been such a big year. And so I think we want to just like sum this up today with encouraging you to sit with those prompts and think about how this year has been transformative for you, how it's alchemized for you, thinking about the light beams that have flown through your vessel and brought more awareness and consciousness to you. And if you're listening to this podcast, you are amongst that community. So you didn't end up here by accident. You're not hearing this by accident. It all is significant and has meaning towards even more transformation for what is to come. And maybe even taking some of these nuggets from what we were talking about earlier of surrender and just finding peace and not having to know exactly what it looks like, and just letting go of the quote unquote plan and trusting the unfolding.
Absolutely. Do yourself a favor and give yourself a chance to do a year in review.
Yeah,
in some way, shape, or form. We did one as we walked around outside during the Gemini full moon.
Yes.
Last full moon of the year. We did give ourselves like, oh, what was January like? What was February like? We gave ourselves that discussion, and it was really also healing too, because you like see again how much you've done and what each month brought. You break it down that way too. So do a little year in review process with yourself and take time to energetically close out the year. I think there's so much at this time of year, there's so much emphasis on the new year, planning for the new year, but take conscious time to close out 2024. Otherwise you're going to keep carrying things into 2025.
Thank you. I'll pass on that.
So give yourself the gift of like receiving the lessons too from 2024 so that you don't have to keep repeating them. And that's, I think, part of our consciousness journey too. Yeah. And we're not perfect. We all have those moments of like,
I have perfect moments.
Those moments like, oh, I saw that opportunity and I did not listen.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But no spiritual 2x4s in 2025.
Please don't. I'm done with construction. Okay.
We'll talk about 2025 in another episode here. But yeah, I love 2024. Huge year, beautiful expansion. And I'm grateful for like everything. I'm grateful for all that was birthed in 2024, all that was let go in 2024.
Holy smokes, me too.
And
so much gratitude for the lessons, so much gratitude for the release, so much gratitude for the unbecoming, the death, and the rebirth.
I said this to you on one of your reels the other day, and I want to bring it here for everyone to hear too. You are a master at gratitude, like mastering the frequency of gratitude and how that makes way then for new things to come.
Thank you.
You truly are. Because every time she says, I'm so grateful for this, I'm so grateful for that, like A, I can really feel it. And B, something epic always follows it. Like if she does a big post on gratitude, some humongo opportunity comes in the next week. Or, she's like talking or like literally, she'll call me literally in tears in gratitude for something going on. And then boom, the next day, like doors are wide open to some business opportunity. And I'm like, I finally told you, like, I've been watching this for a long time. You're a master at gratitude, like the frequency of gratitude to then create more blessings. Seriously.
Thank you.
I have chills. I'm saying that.
Thank you. I received that so fully and I'm so grateful for that, you know, and my heart is really open.
Yeah.
And I think when your heart is open and you can tap in to that feeling of gratitude, then it's bound to overflow, you know?
Yeah, it does. And it makes so much space and it's such a high frequency that it really can't help but call forth more that you're then a match for. So that's another exercise to give yourself to for the end of 2024. Like, what am I grateful for? And then what challenges am I maybe not yet grateful for, but can be grateful for? That's something that I work on too. And was talking
practice
to Michael
gratitude for the patience of the process of like the finality of where it's going. And when I release things, so things that I don't prefer, or don't necessarily like or feel good, I do give those things gratitude also. Thank you so much for the wisdom. Thank you so much for the lessons. Thank you so much for the opportunity to practice skills that I have, that I talk about. I release you with so much gratitude, right? I didn't always used to be that way. I used to release with anger and resentment and not feeling good. But now I really, truly release with gratitude of like, I learned something here. And I'm grateful for that. It hurt. Whoa. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful that now I know that I can withstand that amount of pain. because there's polarity on the opposite end of that pain. There's joy. And so I'm always like, okay, I'm so grateful for this because I know what's coming next is good. It has to be beautiful.
Yeah. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
So thank you for walking that talk.
Thank you.
Thank you for
reflecting
showing me,
it.
Yeah. Thank you for showing me all the different opportunities to tap into gratitude for me too.
Yeah.
And acknowledging the pain and still being grateful for it. Like that's huge, you know, and so often we have a lot of intellectuals we know listening to this podcast. So often we quickly try to like reason into why something is happening and when we're doing that though, we're skipping over the actual feeling. We're skipping over the opportunity.
You're in the upper 2 chakras and we're really asking to go down to those lower chakras of groundedness and connection to the feeling in that sacral area and solar plexus and in the heart space and not just in the mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're missing the opportunity to feel gratitude for it too and really focus on it in the moment. Focus on the circumstances no matter how uncomfortable they are.
I'm feeling really called to like take a moment here as people are listening to take a deep breath and just tap into that feeling of gratitude. Like, what are you grateful for in this very moment? And it can be something simple. So allow yourself to feel into that. Where in your body do you feel that? What does it feel like? Does it feel little and tiny? Is it really big? Is it expansive? If it had a color, what color would it be? If it was able to move, where would you want it to move to? Deeply inhaling in that gratitude. As you exhale, release the gratitude beyond the body, but into the energetic field that surrounds you. Your gratitude is for other people to feel too. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. You know?
Pippi started purring as I was doing that. She's still sitting on my lap and she's started purring as I was doing that.
Oh, see?
I felt it in my heart space.
Yeah.
And in my solar plexus, like right here, like both. And then mine was purple.
Oh, I love that. Mine was in my solar plexus also in yellow. That's kind of like where I live. You know, I live in that space a lot. And mine was a mustard seed that grew to be very, very big.
Yeah.
My gratitude, it was like, it felt like far in the distance and tiny, but then once I started focusing on it, it was like it was coming closer to me. So it was growing. And then like it was an easy release through the breath. It didn't feel like it didn't want to leave. It was like, oh yeah, okay, we can share this. Great.
That's a huge thing you just said. I want to focus in on like that mustard seed. Sometimes gratitude is tiny. Like sometimes you can only find like a tiny little piece, a tiny mustard seed of gratitude.
Yep.
Especially when you're in the thick of it. And so right there, that practice, like even if you're going through it, can you find the mustard seed of gratitude?
Yes.
And like, if possible, make it bigger. But if not, and it's just a mustard seed, that's okay too.
Yeah.
But that is really beautiful what you said. Sometimes that's all you can find. It's all you can muster.
Yeah.
The mustard seed.
Yeah.
And that's also biblical too. God talks about that. It's like the mustard seed of faith is all you need.
It's literally all you need.
It's literally all you need. So that mustard seed of gratitude too. It's so freaking powerful. And it will grow. It will.
I'm having a whole experience right now. I think I need to tap into. I need to go meditate.
Okay, so let us know how you feel about this too. If this hit you, we want to know.
Yeah.
Please reach out, send us a message, Instagram or on our email, spiritualgirlpod@gmail.com, and we can't wait to hear.
Yes. You know how this goes. Until next time. Stay tuned.